Today we're going to take a look at our pop-up. This is a sprinkler pop-up, and this company is Hunter Industries. There are a few other companies. Perhaps the other most prominent company is Rainbird, but there's also Toro and several others. Now this is a 6-inch pop-up, meaning that the riser will elevate 6 inches above ground level, which is a nice size because it can clear little shrubs or ground covers, and it's okay to use in lawn, although it's kind of large for grass. It's mainly what you would use in some shrub beds, and it's typically tall enough to get up over most things so it can provide water where it needs to go. You notice the gray cap here. That indicates that this is a special kind of sprinkler, and it tells you what it is. Right here it has a check valve. The check valve means that once the water's turned off, no more water will be able to flow out of here. Oftentimes, if this is at the bottom of a hill, you turn off the sprinklers, all the water that's in the pipe will drain out of the lowest sprinkler. There's a little check valve in here that stops that from happening. It's a good thing to have. You'll also notice that it says PRS 40. So this is pressure regulated to 40 PSI, 40 pounds per square inch. So even if your water pressure at your point of connection is 50, 60, 70, 90 PSI, this is calibrated to operate at 40. And 40 PSI is the perfect operating pressure for the MP rotator nozzle, which is generally considered to be a water-saving nozzle. So if you have the gray cap, that's an indicator that it's designed especially for the MP rotator nozzle. So those two features, the check valve as well as the pressure regulating capability, make this a little bit more high-tech. You will also want to open up your spray head tool, and if you have a pencil sharpened or a ballpoint pen that is slim, or the best tool is a chopstick. That'll work really well. If you do not have something narrow and pokey, then you can do everything minus one step. Okay, so what are the parts of the pop-up? Well, here we have the body, sprinkler body, and this is underground. So when this is installed, the only thing that you see is this cap here. It comes pre-installed with a flush nozzle, and there's a wide opening here, and so this is when you actually put it in the ground, you turn it on, and the water can flush out before you switch it out to the proper nozzle. There's also a very convenient pull tab to be able to pull up your nozzle. You can hear the springs inside, and so basically that's how this works. Your pipe comes into the bottom of this, water flows in through the bottom of the sprinkler body, and the pressure of the water pushes up the riser. So the riser is brought up with water pressure, compresses the spring inside, and then the water sprinkles out. And then once the water is turned off with a valve, the pressure drops, and this goes and retracts back down to ground level. And as it does, some water will weep out of the side. That is intentional. That's to help prevent any dirt from getting down inside of here. So let's take this apart to understand exactly what's going on. The first thing you can do is unscrew this cap, and we're going to see what this looks like on the inside. This white piece here is the wiper seal, and you can actually see how it is intended to release some water to help flush things out, so as it's retracting, keeps it clean. And then this is literally just pressed in, so with a little bit of gentle pulling, you should be able to release the wiper seal, and the spring inside is under a little bit of tension. So you do want to be a bit cautious about that. So this here is fully replaceable. Now you can imagine if you had problems with your pop-up, if something broke, you can buy replacement, and without needing to dig too much, you leave this in the field and you just drop in the new stuff. So it's really handy to be able to move this around as a single unit. But we're going to take this apart further. So what you need to do is pull the wiper seal down and hold it with your hand. We're going to unscrew the flush nozzle. And this is where you be careful, because this spring will now be able to freely go all the way open. So don't let it launch across the room. And you can see the wiper seal literally just pops right out here. The spring can be removed. Here's your riser, sometimes called the stem. Notice this white ring here, and if you turn this, you'll hear clicking like a ratchet. This is your fine tuning of your pop-up. As the pop-up is engaged, you can use the ratchet to help orient you properly in the landscape. This just slides right off, and you can take a look at the ring inside and inspect the teeth and inspect the grooves on this side, and you can feel for yourself how that ratcheting works. Now you take a look at the bottom, and this is one of the features that makes this unique is the check valve. So this little plastic piece down here is a check valve, and it's meant to prevent water from draining when it's not supposed to. And so you can take a look and pull that out. This here is the check valve, just pops right in. And then there's a check valve assembly. So this is the piece where the check valve goes. And I recommend taking the pop-up tool. Notice how there's a little hook right here. Just go down and pull that out. Just a little bit of tension there. So as you pop it out, it will want to kind of fly across the room. But this is the check valve assembly. Now a lot of pop-ups do not have these two pieces, in which case the water can just freely flow through here. Now there's one more piece that's unique to this, and that's the pressure regulator. It's the thing that keeps it at 40 psi. And you can take a look down in there and you can see there's a white plastic pressure regulator, and that's going to be tough to get out. That's where you need your pencil, or in my case it's a chopstick. You push it all the way down, and there's a little hole in there. You're trying to push in the center of that hole. So you just give it a little push, and then out pops the pressure regulator. So notice there's a little plastic piece here with sort of a funnel end, and then a stopper on the other side, and when you compress this with pressure, the spring goes down, and it only can go down so far. And this is the implement that is controlling and dictating the maximum allowable pressure of water to flow through. So what I want you to do is lay these all out on a sheet and then take a photograph and label each part. And so this is called the integrated parts breakdown. We're breaking down all the integrated components and labeling them, and then you need to put it back together. So when you put it back together, you got to make sure everything's oriented in the proper direction. So we take a look here. We're going to put this back together now. The funnel piece goes up from the bottom. So drop that in, push until you hear a click. Next, we're going to install our check valve. And you want to make sure this goes in properly. Don't put it in backwards. It's a little bit trickier to get it out if you put it in backwards, and it won't work. So the way to make sure that you put it in right is install the check valve into the check valve assembly first, and then just pop that in. There you go. Push until it can go no further. Then we're going to attach our fine-tune ratchet. And then next, we're going to take our spring. We're going to bring the spring all the way down. There will be a little bit of tension here, so hold the spring so it doesn't go launching across the room. And then you're going to guide the spring into the wiper seal. So put the spring right into the gap that's right here. And we're going to let this go flying down into the body. Take the spring all the way down. Now we take the cap, put the cap on top, and we screw the cap down. Now you notice we did not put the nozzle on top. And so that riser went all the way down in here. And how are you supposed to grab it to put the nozzle on? That's where you take your Rainbird spray head tool. And this has several functions. The first action is going inside the riser, opening that up and pulling out. See these two little hooks on this side? So if you go down inside the riser, open with your hands, you can pull that out. Now with your hands, you grab the riser, and then we have this circular area. You open wide, and you can put that right on the riser, and now you can hold it. Hold it up so that you have a convenient way to reinstall your flush cap. So you take your flush cap, put it right back, screw this down, and you have just reassembled your pop-up. Now let's say we're in the field, we've already installed this, and we're ready to put our MP rotator nozzle that's going to emit the water. So then this is in the ground, you just pull this up, you take your tool, and you use it to help you keep this up without worrying too much about it. You unscrew the nozzle. And then you take your MP rotator, and this has a filter on the bottom which attaches here. These filters are removable, so you can separate the filter from the nozzle. You want to always be able to inspect that and clean that if it gets debris. that goes right down inside, and you just screw the nozzle on. So have it go all the way down. Later, when you turn on the water, you can adjust this to control the arc as well as the radius, how far it throws and how wide it throws. You undo your tool, and then this just rests right down like so. Ground level is right here, so your nozzle typically rests about 1/4 inch above the soil level. And to get access to it, you can come on in and pull this up. Use your tool. So there we go. That's how to take apart a Hunter Pro Spray PRS 40, put it back together, and install the nozzle.